Welcome to Everest Technology. Today we are going to create a full stack application, TODO application using Flutter and GetX. So as our application will be full stack, we will be creating both backend and frontend. For the frontend, we will be using Flutter, GetX, and for the backend, we will be using PHP to create the APIs and MySQL to the database. So let's get started. Our login and sign up is completed, so we will be working with TODOs now. So to create a TODO, let's create an API to insert a new TODO. For that, I'll write add todo.php. So it will also accept. So this will be same. Copy it from here. If set post. So what we need in our TODO is user ID, title, description, and date. So from the user part, we will need user ID, title, and if the required fields are not received, then I'll write false. Please fill all the fields and listen include. So for this part, I will need a user ID with user ID, title, and description. For the date part, I'll be using a date of PHP. I'll write SQL insert into TODOs, user ID, title, description, and date. So similar. So I will then query the result. So result will be MySQL query or connection and SQL. So if our result is successful, then I will then echo success message to add successfully, else to adding failed. Let's test our API. I'll create a new request and TODO, and it will be URL and TODO will be a host, body, user ID will be have one, title will be test TODO title, and description will be loading option. Then nothing is printed because I haven't printed here. Let's try again. And to add it successfully, let's verify it in our database. Let's refresh and test TODO title, first one, and second one, user ID 1. Let's try again. Test TODO title 2, send to add it successfully. Refresh. Test TODO title 2. Our TODO adding TODO API is working fine. So let's create displaying all the TODOs. For that, let's create an API TODOs.php. It will have something in common. Okay, here is a typo. Again. TODOs.php, and to get all the TODOs of the specific user, we'll need user ID. Let's say $post user ID else, which fills all the field, and dollars user ID equals to user ID SQL, like SQL from TODOs, where user ID equals user ID. We'll query over it, and TODOs will be our array. While $row comes to MySQL pages of result, our TODOs will be our row, and just echo our TODO. This equal to test this our API. New request, get my TODOs, getting a theme, TODOs.php to the post body, we'll have to send user ID will be 1 because we have only one user and we're getting all the TODOs of the user. And if we create a new user, so let me guess, TODO test 2 and test2@gmail.com and I have successful. Let's login out to test 2 and so we have test 2. Let's add with user ID 2 and we added successfully. Let's see in our database, refresh. So the ID number 2 have only one TODO, and let us change our TODO here. Get my TODOs 2 and so it is giving only the TODOs of the user, of the specific user. So our get TODOs is also working, and we'll now need to edit TODO. For that, edit TODO.php. It will be somewhat similar to our add TODO. We'll also need a user ID, title, description, along with which we'll also need an ID TODO. And if any of the fields are not provided, then please fill all the fields. So ID equals to post ID, user ID, title, and description. So update TODO, take user ID equals to user ID, title, description, where ID equals to ID. We will not use this. In fact, we'll use that thing, and user ID equals to ID. So update TODOs, take title equals to title, description equals to description, where ID equals to ID, and user ID equals to user ID. So we are updating the TODO of a specific user of specific TODO. So if result, then TODO updated successfully. Else TODO updating failed, and we will echo the response. So let's edit some TODOs with our API. New request, edit TODO, request somewhat to our add TODO, will be post, edit TODO. In the body we have to provide ID, that is 1, user ID 1, title, edit TODO, title, and description will be same. Load and some. So let's verify in our database user ID 1, ID 1. So we have in ID 1, user ID 1, test TODO title, and we are going to change it with edit TODO title. So let's send it TODO updated successfully. Let's refresh our phpMyAdmin and edit TODO's title. So it is updated successfully. So our API is working. So let's create another API to delete the TODO. For that, delete TODO.php, which will be somewhat similar to our edit TODO, and it will be similar to this. We will not need title and description. Else all fields are required. So we'll only need ID and user ID to verify if the particular ID is of the particular user. For that, $SQL equals to delete from TODO, where ID equals to ID and user ID equals to user ID, and we will query our query into our database. So if result, then we will see data true, TODO deleted successfully, else TODO deleting failed. This is our API. Let's go to our TODO and new request. Delete TODO. For this, delete push for now. Copy, paste. Delete TODO.php. In body, we'll need ID 1 and user ID 1. So this TODO is the first one, so we are going to delete the first one. Let's print. Please fill all the fields. So let's look at our API. ID and user ID. So user ID, and nothing is in because we haven't printed the response, and TODO deleted successfully. Let's click into our database. So we can see that the first TODO is gone. So our delete API is also working. Now all the APIs are ready. So we'll be working with the Flutter to create the TODO application with GetX. So now let's go to our mobile development part. So I have opened our newly created folder, Flutter folder. So I have opened our newly created Flutter folder in VS Code. So we will start our mobile development. For that, we will need some screens. So we have designed our screen in XD. We'll use this design to create our TODO. So for the login and sign up part, so I will create some of the folders here. Will be screens and we'll also have controllers, GetX, also have utils and wizards and model. In the main file, let's open the file. It is